Hi, my name is Jeff Peterson. I'm the course instructor for the Fundamentals of Wine. I'm actually teaching two sections this semester. I'm teaching one on the main campus at Linfield and one online. And this is the first year we're teaching it. So first, a little bit about myself. I started here in 1994 at Linfield College. I was hired into the Department of Sociology and Anthropology, and I'm still a member of that department. Although about 7 years ago, I started a center called the Linfield Center for the Northwest. And so it's been an interesting sort of little development in my career in that I started off as a Latin Americanist. I actually grew up in Latin America in southern Brazil until I was about 11. And then my own research is actually on social movements and urban development in Latin America, and I lived in Mexico for 3.5 years. So I came to Linfield College, and I sort of did that thing for quite a bit of time. But then when I came up with this idea for the Linfield Center for the Northwest, uh, the role that the center plays at Linfield is sort of to connect students regionally through internship opportunities, community service, and through research opportunities. So I do a lot of different things, including I work with Latinos and sustainable agriculture. I've done various other projects. I supervise some internships. And around the time I started the center, President Tom Helly asked me to come up with a way in which Linfield could interact more with the wine industry. What we did right at first was we started what's called the Oregon Wine History Project, which you'll probably actually look at some point, hopefully, during this class. And I also helped get the Oregon Wine History Archive, the hard archives, started. We did a remodel job with the library. We hired an archivist. And Rachel Woody, who you will hear from, and I think you'll use the archives sometime during the semester as well, was part of a project I worked on, and now they kind of do their own thing. A few years ago, we started talking about a wine studies minor, which we're hopefully going to get off the ground here in the fall. And part of that is getting the fundamentals of wine class started. So my own experience with wine is kind of interesting in that I've done quite a bit of research on the wine industry. Um, I've helped do projects on the early days of wine in this area. I've done some projects on Latinos in the wine industry, did interviews for women in the wine industry, and those are all part of the Wine History Project. And over the years, I've developed a lot of contacts in the wine industry, and I've also done a year-long wine experience for students where we do a summer wine institute. We then do internships, and I've actually taken students to Beaune, France, or that Burgundy area where Pinot Noir and Chardonnay really come from in the last 2 years. And so that's been part of my experience. So it's a little interesting path since I've gone from being sort of a Latin Americanist, and I still do some of that, but I also teach wine stuff, wine courses, and oversee internships quite a bit for the center. And I also kind of dabble in other things. As you can probably tell, I like to check out new things. One of the things you can look at behind me there's actually a crossbow that shoots circular saw blades, which the shop guys got made for me when I was teaching a class called The Impact of the Zombie Apocalypse on the Pacific Northwest, and which was a really fun class. I'll probably teach it again next year, but we're going to get through the fundamentals of wine class first. So my own interests in wine, other than the fact that I really do like Pinot Noir a lot, is that I enjoy particularly telling the story of Oregon wine. One of the things that you'll find is that Pinot Noir was planted here about 50 years ago. And many of the people who started the Pinot Noir industry, sort of the resurgence of wine in Oregon post-Prohibition, are kind of getting up into their 60s, 70s, and even into their 80s. And one of the interesting things is that concern that we start losing that firsthand telling of those stories. So some of the videos that you might see on the Oregon Wine History Project come from that kind of desire to kind of be able to tell that story. So that's one of the things I enjoy, is using some of my sociology and anthropology background to tell the story of Oregon wine. And I also work with students on that. It's also a way in which I can kind of give them some skills of how to go about doing interviews and oral histories and those sorts of things. So one of the things, just to wrap up here, that I really hope for this class is that on the one hand that you learn broadly about the wine industry. This course really is meant to focus on a broad experience and give you a little bit of a taste of everything that is possible to understand in the wine industry. When the president asked me to come up with ways in which we could intersect with the wine industry, one of my ideas was to really make it a more liberal arts experience. We have other programs in the state that focused on viticulture or growing grapes, or they focus on enology, which is making wine. But a lot of the industry has nothing to do with either growing grapes or making wine, and it really has to do with marketing, branding, social media, all kinds of things that I think are not well represented in some of these programs. And that's one of our goals, is that this course is designed to get you started down that path. So we're going to dabble a little bit in everything, and my hope is that you will develop a proposal over time for something that you would like to explore more in depth, so that in the future perhaps you can do that. In order to do that, you'll have some primary material that we will give you, but my hope is also that you'll be in charge of finding and exploring and even helping each other find materials to explore these areas in more depth. So if you're interested in marketing, I probably am going to want you to explore marketing more. Or if you're interested in social media or the history of wine, my hope is that you'll be able to sort of explore your passion. One of the cool things about the wine industry is most everyone is passionate about wine in some form or another. It's a wonderful subculture, and it's something that can be very enjoyable. And my hope is that rather than trying to find the right or the wrong answer of one thing, that you simply try and understand the depth and breadth of what goes on in the wine industry. So that's my introductory video, and we will be talking more both on video and online. And welcome to the course.